You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borg. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Thursday, 12th day of June, 2025. Guess what that makes tomorrow? Ha ha ha. I can't do the scary laugh. Friday the 13th. Yep, true story. Anyway, thanks for joining us today. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're always just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. The first live broadcast, that's our live training room. So to get in there, you either have to be a member or taking your 1-week free trial. If you have not yet taken your 1-week free trial, go here to mytradingiq.com. At the very top of the page, there's a big purple button. You can't miss it. Click it, fill out the form, hit submit. We will get your if you fill the form out correctly, we'll get your indicators up and indicating today. Your trial will officially start tomorrow. But since tomorrow is a Friday, we're going to let your trial run all the way through next Friday. How cool is that? I think I just turned a 5-day free trial into 8 days. And you go, well, what good is it on the weekend? Hey, there's markets to trade around the clock, 7 days a week, 365. So, anyway, when you take the trial, you're not just getting into the live training room. What's going to happen is for the entire length of your trial, we're going to treat you like you were already a member. We're going to give you access to everything except one thing. And that's the members only workshop that happens every Thursday night, tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. But other than that, the alerts, Telegram, the discussion groups, everything. Now, in the morning when the live training room ends at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, we do take a 30-minute break and come back for this broadcast, the noon broadcast, which, unlike the morning broadcast, is actually open to the public. Everybody everywhere on planet Earth with an internet-connected device. Now, there's 2 different ways to join the afternoon broadcast live. The best way, you only have to do this once. Go to mytradingiq.com, scroll down the page this time to where it says Noon Broadcast. Click that link, fill out that 30-second registration form, and you're done. What will happen going forward is every trading day you'll get an email about an hour before this broadcast starts. In the email there's a link. So at 12 noon Eastern, all you have to do is click the link in the email and it will automatically log you into our platform. The benefit there is you will have access to the question box as soon as the broadcast begins. This way you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. Now, of course, there'll be days when you're out of the office, away from the desktop. Maybe this time of year you're even on vacation. But you still want to join live. And there'll be days when you're busy, can't join live, but want to get caught up later. Good news, you can do both of those via our YouTube channel, which is so easy to remember. youtube.com/CFRN. That's the Christian Financial Radio Network since 2005. 20 years. Over 20 years. April April of 2005 was the first time we broke the airwaves. Anyway, that's the best way. Now, again, if you're away from the desktop or busy, whatever, our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CFRN. Not only do we broadcast live every trading day, as we're doing right now, simulcasting, we also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there's over 2,800 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. Now, obviously, you're not going to watch them all, but thanks to the power of YouTube, you can actually see how we've evolved over the years. You can really get to know who we are. Again, thanks to the power of YouTube, you can scroll back 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, even more. And if you're new to our little corner of the world, again, it's a great way to get to know us. Obviously, you're not going to watch them all, nor do you need to. But it is a great resource to have at your fingertips, and it lets you know that we've been around a minute or two, or a few. Now, this is our daily schedule for each afternoon broadcast. Michael will be joining us at the top of the hour to give us a recap of everything that happened this morning in the live training room. And then we'll do some live trading on the TradingView platform for 30 minutes. But for now, we'll start where we always do, and that's with our daily devotional. We began a new topic yesterday, so we're in day 2 of 3. God, are you listening? How many times have you prayed a prayer and just wondered? Seems like those prayers are bouncing off the ceiling. I assure you, He's listening. And He's working. When you can't see a change in your situation or your circumstances, He's at work. He never sleeps. Today's scripture, Psalm 18, verses 16 through 19, and I'll share it with you from the Message translation. But me He caught, reached all the way from sky to sea. He pulled me out of that ocean of hate, that enemy chaos, the void in which I was drowning. They hit me when I was down, but God stuck by me. He stood me up on a wide open field. I stood there saved, surprised to be alive and to be loved. Again, that was Psalm 18, verses 16 through 19. As I said, it's human to wonder if God hears your prayers. But trust me, He listens. Psalm 66:17, I cried to Him with my mouth, and high praise was on my tongue. If I had cherished iniquity in my heart, the Lord would not have listened. But truly God has listened. He has attended to the voice of my prayer. Scripture overwhelmingly reveals that God does listen to our prayers. Throughout Psalms, David poetically describes his thoughts, feelings, and experiences. Some of the chapters are sad and melancholy, some happy and joyous. Sounds kind of like life, huh? And others reveal times of worship. But through everything David encountered, he revealed several testimonies proving God had been listening to his prayers. Psalm 18:17, He rescued me from my strong enemy and from those who hated me, for they were too mighty for me. They confronted me in the day of my calamity, but the Lord was my support. He brought me out into a broad place. He rescued me because he delighted in me. Think about that. The God of the universe, the one that hung the stars in the sky and tells the waves how far to come in and then to go back out, he delights in you if you delight in him. God does not have to acknowledge that he listens for us to know he hears us. We know the story about David praying for deliverance from his enemies and asking God to incline his ears to him. Psalm 31. When we see the evidence of our prayers, such as David being delivered from his many adversaries, there is no question as to whether he listens. So if you find yourself in that situation where you're wondering, wow, is God listening? Well, look back over your shoulder at all the times you prayed and all the miraculous things that you couldn't even expect happened. See, back in those times, you might have been wondering the same thing. But if you're a man of a certain age, like 12, you have evidence that he's listening. Whatever we're facing in life, God sees and knows all things. In this life, we all will face many challenges. This is not a promise, it's a guarantee. John 16:33 confirms it, where Jesus said, in this world you will have many troubles. Guys, I hate to do this, but my doorbell just rang, so hang tight. I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that. You know, I was halfway down the stairs to the door when I realized I have a device on my phone. I could have talked to the people. It was a bunch of groceries, toilet paper. I was thinking, wow, my wife and I, we did our food ministry yesterday where we distribute to the needy. I thought, some stranger has blessed us. Turns out, my grandson, he had ordered from DoorDash. So it was his groceries. But anyway, next time I'll use the device. Hang on one second. No, I'm not going anywhere. I gotta answer this. All right. I was somewhere. Where was I? Oh, I know where it was. Hang on. We were finishing up the devotional. I had just explained that Jesus said, in this life, you'll have trouble for my name's sake. That's true. When life is storming, let us remember that Jesus has overcome the world, and there's nothing too hard for him to take on our behalf. Here's something you can jot in your journal and maybe reflect on. Reflect on a time when you know that God did hear your prayers. What evidence do you have? What did you learn from the experience? Dive deep. Journal about these times when God heard your prayers. Keeping a record such as this will help to build your faith during times of uncertainty. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, when the waters rise and darkness surrounds, you reach down and rescue us. You draw us out of deep places and set us in a safe, spacious place because you delight in us. Thank you for being our strength and our deliverer. Help us to trust you, even when we feel overwhelmed. It's in Jesus' name we believe and pray. And everybody said, Amen. Amen, and happy Thursday. A reminder to members only workshop tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. Please have your questions ready so that we can dive right in and get them taken care of. All right, I'm going to refresh this one more time as I give you the numbers from around the world, because I want you to have only the freshest of data. Starting in the U.S. with the indices, or the cash markets. Currently the Dow up 11 points, NASDAQ up 45, S&P 500 up 15, but Russell 2000, our man in the street, is down 12. Now does that mean that the other indices are going to follow the Russell into the red? You know, it happens often. Does it happen all the time? No. When we first become traders, futures traders especially, we like to think, and we spend a lot of time figuring out which index moves first, because if we can figure that out, then all we have to do is wait for that index to move, and then we can trade one of the other ones, right? Sorry, doesn't work that way. Trust me, I know, because I spent the time. See, that's what I was telling you yesterday. You don't have to make the same mistakes I made and Michael made and we made together. Because I was convinced there had to be one, but there's not. However, with the Russell, because it's 2,000 small cap companies, there seems to be a more instant reaction with the other indices when the Russell slips into the red or moves into the green when the others are red. And we do like to see them all the same color. As futures traders, we can be long, short, long again, all in the same hour, if that's what the chart tells us to do. But when there's divided markets, you notice that, see, the Dow just went red, down a little over a point. So now we got 2 in the red, 2 in the green. When you have mixed markets like that, you don't get the same nice follow through on your trades that you do when they're all the same color. In the commodity basket, crude oil down 2 cents, trading 68.13 last. Now, crude's been on a wild ride today since last night. There was a huge gap higher open, but, well, that's gone now. I'll show you on the charts when we get there. Gold up 65 bucks, trading 34.09 last. That's a gain of almost 2%. Silver up a dime, trading 36 last. Remember, when the price of silver moves $1, that's worth $5,000 per contract traded. So if it's up a dime, then that's worth $500 per contract traded. Remember that, it'll serve you well. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei dropped 248 points. Shanghai basically unchanged. The Hang Seng fell 331 points. That's a little over 1.25%. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE up 20. The DAX down 177. The CAC down 10. So we had a mixed day in Asia. It was a mixed day for the UK. And at the moment, it's a mixed Radio Thursday here in the US of A. So now the Dow's down 24 points, chasing the Russell, which is still down 12. And the NASDAQ's only up 37 points, which is like nothing for the NASDAQ. And the S&P 500 is up 10. And I'll show you what's going on with the S&P when we get to the charts. But for now, the news. And our first news today is sad. Beach Boys co-founder and singer Brian Wilson has passed away at 82. Wilson was the creative force behind the group in the mid-60s, the most popular American rock group at the time. Some of his bandmates have said he was not only the heart of the Beach Boys, but he was the soul. Wilson formed the Beach Boys in 1961 in his hometown of Hawthorne, California. The band included his younger brothers, Dennis and Carl, cousin Mike Love, and friend Al Jardine. Hits like Surfin' USA, I Get Around, Don't Worry Baby, and California Girls helped propel the group to its initial successes. Their orchestral 1966 album, Pet Sounds, is considered by many critics to be the first ever rock concept album. It includes the singles Wouldn't It Be Nice and God Only Knows, which Paul McCartney called the greatest pop song ever written. The group made the Billboard Top 40 list 36 times in 36 years. Wilson suffered from schizoaffective disorder and drug addictions, often leading to career setbacks. And I think I mentioned yesterday on the show, he was friends with Charlie Manson before Charlie really went off the deep end. Charlie was a musician. He could play the guitar, sing a little bit, write a little bit. But he just got too creepy for Brian. And so, Brian's bodyguards made him go away. And I kind of think part of that rejection that he felt may have, and I'm not blaming Brian. Brian was just protecting himself and his group. But I think that rejection may have been part, along with all the LSD, that sent Manson on his rampage of blood and gore and Tate Bianca murders and all the other stuff. Brian, you'll be greatly missed. Our hearts and prayers are with your family and friends. For the very first time, a brain implant has allowed a man to speak intravenously and expressively, and even sing, a new study has revealed. The finding marks a significant advancement in brain-to-text systems, which have struggled to operate in real time and to convey variety in pitch, tone, and emphasis. The patient has ALS, a neurodegenerative disease impacting his speech. 5 years into symptoms, he underwent surgery to implant 256 silicone electrodes in a brain region controlling movement. Researchers at UC Davis then began collecting data on his brain activity as he worked to say various words. The system known as BrainGate 2 managed to translate neural signals into words in 10 milliseconds, 40 times faster than other brain-to-text systems. That enabled more fluid conversations and even the ability to interject mid-discussion, with the patient rated as understandable 60% of the time. The system was even able to capture the patient humming a string of 3 notes. Researchers say the advancement could pave the way for more natural conversation, including in multiple languages. President Trump announced yesterday that the U.S. and China had reached a provisional trade deal following 2 days of negotiations in London. The framework, which needs both presidents to officially sign off, addresses tariffs as well as student visas and critical minerals, 2 other sticking points in U.S.-China relations. Under the tentative agreement, the U.S. would impose a total of 55% tariffs on Chinese goods, down from the 145% rate imposed in April. Now, people are calling this the taco trade, or that, Trump always chickens out. Give me a break. You wish you had those negotiating skills. Full details haven't been released, but the framework reportedly also entails rolling back export limits on American technologies like airplane parts and allowing Chinese students to continue studying at American universities. In exchange, China would keep the 10% tariffs on U.S. goods agreed to in Geneva last month. China would also reportedly ease export restrictions on magnets and rare earth minerals, which are essential components for advanced technologies and whose market China dominates. Now, there was one more thing down here that I thought you might find interesting before we go to Wall Street. Where'd that go? You'll have to Google this, but supposedly a smutty letter written by the Beatles or one of the Beatles is going to be sold at auction. Google it, Beatles smutty letter. I'm sure it'll pop right to the top. Question is, how much is someone willing to pay for such a thing? Okay, Wall Street. A key deadline in President Trump's trade war is getting closer, with a 90-day pause on his Liberation Day tariffs set to expire July 9th. But what will actually happen when the clock strikes midnight on what some are calling Liberation Day 2.0 is anyone's guess. A series of comments from Trump and his officials this week, even within a 12-hour span on Wednesday, were notable for the variety of scenarios they have on the table. It could be a non-event, with additional deadline extensions in the offing. It might be a day of celebration of long-promised trade deals, and it could also be a day when the hammer comes down. And tariffs are, sometimes a tariff is just a tariff. Now, I need 3 seconds Quite the busy day in the studio. Okay. U.S. stocks edged higher today as more data showed milder inflation pressures, even as President Trump renewed his threat to impose take it or leave it tariffs on trading partners. The U.S. dollar sank to its lowest level in 3 years as fresh price data showed a so far mild impact from Trump's tariff policies, as wholesale inflation increased less than economists expected. The report came after the consumer counterpart showed an easing in price pressures in the wake of Trump's reciprocal tariff hikes in April. God, it just makes things nauseous to have to write that. But it's public knowledge. You know, we should have prayed. Let's pray now for the families of the people in that tragic plane crash in India. I think 240 people. I don't know how many fatalities. From what I hear, it had just taken off when it crashed. Now, call me a conspiracy theorist. I don't care. How many planes have we seen fall out of the sky just this year? I know we got outdated equipment and all that, but if you don't believe something else is going on, well, I guess that's your right. Welcome to America. The plane involved was a Boeing 787 Dreamliner, delivered to Air India in 2014. Authorities believe the crash likely, here it is, killed everyone on board the flight headed to Gatwick Airport in London. Emergency crews have recovered more than 200 bodies from the wreckage so far. Oh man, I don't have much desire to get on a plane these days. Plus, I don't have my ID with a little star. I got my passport card, but so I guess that'll work. That's if I want to get on a plane. The dollar has sunk to its lowest in 3 years as rapidly changing U.S. trade policy unsettles markets and expectations build for the Federal Reserve rate cuts, fueling outflows from the world's biggest economy. With the dollar down almost 10% against a basket of major currencies this year, other countries around the globe are grappling with unanticipated FX moves that are having a knockout or a knock-on impact on economic growth and inflation. One of the strategists over at Societe Generale, there's clearly solid dollar selling. Now, we've been talking about this for years. We'll see what happens. From Bloomberg, corporate America is regaining its appetite for risk as expectations build around Donald Trump's push for deregulation and tax cuts, according to ARK Investment Manager founder Kathy Wood. Now, this should get your attention. The U.S. stock market is back on track and within spitting distance of February's all-time highs. Yet, corporate executives are dumping shares at the fastest clip since November. A gauge of insider sentiment, which tracks the number of buyers versus sellers, shows that 200 insiders bought shares this month through June 11th, while 778 sold shares, according to data compiled by the Washington Service. That puts the buy-to-sell ratio at around 0.26, the lowest since November, when Trump's re-election triggered a months-long rally. Guys, when the insiders start dumping their stock, well, you know what's coming, right? Now, this one's a little scary from Reuters. Mattel, company that makes Barbie and Hot Wheels, has teamed up with OpenAI to develop toys and games with artificial intelligence and expects to launch its first AI-powered product later this year, and I think it's going to be a Barbie. I don't have evidence of that, but that's my thinking. The company, which also makes Hot Wheels and Uno cards, plans to bring the magic of AI to age-appropriate play experiences with an emphasis on innovation, privacy, and safety. Now, a while back there was a thing called, I think, Teddy Ruxpin or something, which could say a few different things, but it couldn't really carry on a conversation with you. Now, there's grown men buying these AI blow-up dolls. Yeah, I know, this Christian radio show, but this is the world we live in. Men have been buying those blow-up dolls for years, but now they can talk. They can sit at the dinner table, talk about the news, talk about the weather, talk about sports. A little bit freaky in more ways than one. And this should scare you as well. Iran said it will inaugurate a new uranium enrichment facility in response to a decision by the United Nations atomic watchdog to censure the Islamic Republic over its nuclear program, deepening the oil-rich nation's crisis with the U.S. and Israel. Here's what's going to end up happening. Iran is going to be erased from the map. 100 years from now, they're going to go, what's in Iran? Yeah, they better run. And last, Ford Air, which trades under the symbol FWRD, is up over 7% today. Why? Well, they announced today that Chairman George Mays has resigned following the company's annual shareholder meeting. Per the less than truckload carrier's corporate governance guidelines, board members not receiving at least 50.1% of shareholder support are required to step down. Activist investor Ancora Holdings Group had targeted for removal 3 directors in the weeks leading up to the company's annual meeting held yesterday. Ancora called the 3 unfit legacy directors and blamed them for overseeing the company's disastrous acquisition of Omni Logistics. Ancora also accused the group of slow-walking a strategic review which could culminate in the sale to Ford to private equity. They're just going to break it up and sell it off. The parts are worth more than the whole thing. And the stock, again, it's up over 7% today, almost 8%. Okay, that's it for national news. Let's look at the local news. Logic 247. That's our 24/7 around-the-clock E-mini alert service. It's not just E-minis, though. It's crude, gold, silver. We're currently in week 358. And this morning, I published alert number 19,900. Boy, we're real close to that 20,000 round number. Now, over the last 358 weeks and 19,900 alerts, what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out based on market structure and a simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Valerie did this recap this morning at 6:30 a.m. Eastern. I have put out additional alerts since then. So when she updates the recap this morning, you'll see some significant changes. At the time she did the recap, since the markets opened this past Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, We had issued a total of 58 alerts this week, still waiting on the outcome of 10, plus now the ones I issued this morning. So Valerie had 48 actionable alerts at the time of the recap, of which 4 or 8% would have been stopped out. Again, based on simple market structure and the very simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Now look how the week has gone. Today's Thursday. Wednesday we were at 11%. Tuesday we were at 10%. Monday we were at 17%. So things have gone in our favor. Now every logic alert has an entry price, an initial target, additional targets, and a final trade to target. Of course you can trade them, but the real purpose is to teach you how to read the chart. Okay? See, when you look at a chart, there's no words, no sentences, no paragraphs, no punctuation. It's a completely different language. And if you attempt to become a trader without learning to read the language of the market, it's a long, lonely road. Don't do it, because you don't have to. You got people here that are willing to teach you. Now, 358 weeks, of course, is a very long time. But for many years before we rolled out Logic 247, we had our original alert service, the concierge trade alerts. They're different. They don't come out around the clock like the logic alerts. The CTAs are published typically 5 minutes ahead of the Globex Open. See, the Thursday session began last night at 6 p.m. Eastern. So all of our traders, all of our trial members had all of these targets last night 5 minutes before the market opened. S&P 500, the Dow, the Russell, crude oil, the NQ, gold, and silver. So as we go through these individual charts and you see these targets on the charts, just remember, if you're part of our crew, you had them 5 minutes ahead on the open. All right, let's get this out of the way. Shrink it down. Pop up the chart of the bellwether, the S&P 500 E-mini futures. Now, we've been talking about this double top over here, which we briefly took out yesterday. Now today we dip back below blue and climbing. Okay. Now our next major resistance, of course, is the high of yesterday, and then the previous bearish cross that happened back on February 24th. Maybe it was the 27th. Thought earlier. Anyway, you can see it right there. February 27th. All right. Now, I know you don't trade the daily chart, but you know who does? The institutional traders who move price. They look at daily, weekly, and monthly charts the way you and I look at 30-minute charts, 5-minute charts, tick charts, and range charts. Has everything to do with account size. I encourage you, whether you trade futures, stocks, crypto, Forex, ETFs, spend 2 minutes with the daily chart of whatever you're about to trade on your smaller time frames, so that you understand what's happening in the big picture, okay? Because that's what drives the institutional traders who actually move price. Now we dip back below support this morning. Now we're trying to climb above resistance, okay? How the day closes, I don't know. But our next major resistance is going to be right here at yesterday's high, which was 60, 74, 75. You see this high back here was 60.70, 75. So we took it out by 4 points and then quickly retreated to support. But then overnight we dipped below support. Now we're trying to rally again today, but it seems a little feeble. The next major support would be the low of this day, which just so happens to line up with the daily BBC. Now, the green line is called the BBC. It stands for Bull Bear Cross. When price crosses below the green line, we're bearish and expect lower prices. When price crosses above the green line, we're bullish and expect higher prices. Now, price always reverts to the mean. I don't care what strategy you're using, what methodology. Price always reverts to the mean. In our case, the mean is green. We call it the BBC. Okay? Now, what's really cool is we know price travels in legs, right? And then it retraces. The pullback to the BBC holds more often than it doesn't. See all those? But when price finally gets on the other side of that green line, the pullback holds, the pullback holds. Now we're just waiting for the next pullback to see if it holds or not. But all these insiders dumping, we should at least get back to the BBC. Whether it holds or not, well, we'll see. Now, all the alerts, both the logic and the CTA, they're created on the 30-minute chart. There's nothing magic about 30 minutes. It's just the time frame I chose many years ago. They say if it's not broke, leave it alone. So I have. Now, the vertical line separates today Thursday, back here's Wednesday, back over here's Tuesday. Horizontal lines are the weekly trading zones. They're published every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern for the last 15, and next month we'll make 15 and a half years. Every Monday for our traders. Now, when price drops to a weekly zone, we expect support until proven otherwise. When price rallies up to a weekly zone, we expect resistance until proven otherwise. Now, these are 30-minute candles. We've tried once, twice, 3 times, 4 times to close above the zone 6043/6044. And so far we've been unable to do it. Now, on the way up, look at the parallel here between the black step line and blue and climbing. Okay? That's very bullish. But when that step line starts to hook right and gets on the right side of blue and climbing, you should expect a retracement back to the BBC. Okay? It's pretty simple. Now, I drew in this window of opportunity and this one on the ES yesterday live on the broadcast. Obviously, this one hasn't filled, but this one, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday. Now, I was keying this off of this price action right here on Tuesday. And then yesterday afternoon, we filled it once, we filled it twice, 3 times, and then once the new session started, we filled it a 4th time and a 5th time. Sweet, right? Now, how big was that window? 60.21 down to 60.17. 4 points. You only need 2 points to get your goal for the day. Now, if you caught it all, if you caught it every time, then either you're a better trader than me, which is no big deal, or you stayed up real late. So, actually, that was pretty early in the evening. So, this was the opening candle last night. Green, but we're below the BBC, so we expect lower prices. And here they come. Trade down to the bottom of the window, support, which bounces us back up to resistance at the step line, which sends us back down to support at the bottom of the window. And then again, price opens here at the step line and comes right down to the short target, which is based off this low from yesterday. Simple market structure. So we get a leg and a retracement. The pullback held. Pullback holds more often than not. So when the market finds resistance, it's going to go look for support. What better place to find support than at a weekly trading zone? 5991/92. Published this past Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Support sends us to resistance, the pullback held. Resistance sent us back to support at the zone, which held. Support sends us looking for resistance, and for all those 30-minute candles, it's held. And the step line is about to cross, so look for that pullback. The Dow. This was the opening candle last night. We're below the BBC, and we have red and falling. So down we go to the short target, which was based off this low from yesterday. Then we hit the zone and found support. Support bounced us up to resistance. The pullback held. Resistance sent us looking for support. So let's track that support down. Oh, I'm going to have to go a little further than that. See what I can find. Okay. This probably would not have been, well, all we did was we spiked this day by, I don't know, what, a point or so. Now, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. The low of this candle. Come on, Dwayne. 42,600. The low of this candle, 42,586. Okay, so yeah, we spiked it a little bit, but this area where it ultimately found support, sometimes the market doesn't do 20% or less of the time. You should expect the market to do something other than what you expect it to do once you learn how to read the chart. So that support drove us back up through the zone, and we hit the previous bearish cross. When you have a bearish cross, that's when the red line gets below the green line. When you have a bearish cross that leads to an extended move, the first time price revisits that area will almost always be good resistance. 1, 2, 3, 4 30-minute candles. We tried to break through that area. Now, quite often, you'll get resistance the first time up, but the second time up will sail through. We did trade above it just a little bit, but we were never able to close above it. Now the step line is about to cross blue and climbing, so I'd be looking for a retracement back to the BBC. The Russell. Now, I drew this window in yesterday, live on the broadcast. We dipped into the window, Here, we hit the bottom of the window, and then we came back and the market did it again. It loves to repeat itself. Okay. Now, I will often trade right off the 30-minute chart. But I recommend that you use your range chart. Like for the Russell, if you use the 9-tick range, okay, it's coming into a window of opportunity that you've defined on the 30-minute chart. Now go use your range chart to enter with surgical precision. I bet if you go back and look at this, you didn't have clear buy signals or sell signals on your 9-tick range. Maybe you did, I don't know, but I'm serious. It's okay to find the opportunity on the 30-minute chart, but go to the range chart so you execute with surgical precision. So we opened last night and we came right down through that window, hit the zone, consolidated, made a drop. Buyers came in. I'll show you why when I come back. Pull back to the BBC held. Resistance sends us looking for support. Here's the zone, published Monday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Here it is again. Support always sends the market to resistance, the zone, and we spiked up. And remember, when we trade through a short target, when price comes back up, the bottom side of that short target will often become resistance. I point this out almost every day. And then we get a pullback held, but step line's about to cross. So the next will be the NQ, but Michael's here, so he's going to give us a recap of what happened in the live training room. And then we're going to do some live trading on the TradingView platform. When he's finished, I'll come back. I'll complete the recap, okay? And then we'll wrap things up with our good word for the day, as we do each and every day. Are you ready, Michael? Michael?
Oh, yeah,
There
sorry,
he
my
is.
mic was off.
There
My
he
mic was off. Sorry about that.
There he is.
Yep, I am ready. I'm bringing it over here.
Okay.
Here you go. All right.
Let me get it centered. Okay, perfect. You're good to go.
All right, here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Thursday, the 12th day of June 2025. Now, if you have not taken a free trial with us and you want to, go here to mytradingiq.com and click on the purple button right here. When you click on that, there is no credit card required for the trial. Just click on that. It's going to bring you to, well, it'll bring you to this registration page. On this page, all that we ask for is your name, your email, your phone number down here at the bottom. Click on this. If you don't have TradingView charts yet, click on that to get a TradingView ID so you can get your indicators indicating on your charts. All right, click on that. Give us your TradingView login ID, and we will all set up to start charting with our stuff. First thing, well, after you do it. It doesn't even have to be in the morning. All right, just do that. Now, today we had a pretty good day today. It ended up okay. It was really, really slow again. Just the last few days this week, all this week for me, 19, and 20 trades. Not a lot of trading going on. Actually, this whole month hasn't been a ton of trading. Last month we averaged, I don't know what we averaged, 440. Let's see what we averaged. 447 divided by 19. So we averaged 23 and a half trades a day last month. And so far this month, we have 161 divided by 7. Hey, we're averaging the same number. That can't be right. 23 trades. It doesn't seem like a lot, though. Anyway, it really doesn't seem like a lot. But today we ended up with 8 ticks on the NQ, 17 ticks on the Russell, 25 ticks on gold, and 19 ticks on the ES. Put us at 612.50 this morning with one contract. Today it took a minute and a trade again to get to $1,400 with 10 contracts on it. We took a total of 20 trades this morning. So those numbers are really good. The only day this week we didn't get it in the first trade was this one, and I could have gotten it. That was on Tuesday when I came back from my weekend getaway, and if I'd have been on top of things, I'd have gotten it on the first trade on that one too. It would have been 1 minute, 2 minutes, and one trade on that day too. So far of the 7 days this month, 6 out of 7 we've gotten it on the first trade. That's not to say that you're going to get it on the first trade every time, but there is 9:30. Last month, out of 19 days, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out of 19 days last month. We got it on the first trade. Consistent. That is consistent. All right. So on the month now, we're at $5,620 with one contract over 7 business days, averaging $802 per contract per 2-hour session. On the year now, we're at $146,090 with one contract over 98 business days, averaging $1,490 per contract per 2-hour business day. So following the 24/20 blueprint, this number is getting bigger and bigger because of all these ones right here, and especially the ones that are greater than 1,000. This number is getting bigger and bigger. if you were doing the 24/20 blueprint and quitting trading when you get the goal for the day and adding one contract per month. So far this year, you would only have to work 12.13 hours. You'd be up $52,842 trading 6 contracts now. And you'd be averaging $4,355 per hour. Okay, $4,355 per hour. So that is that. Now let's get into the trades that we actually took. All right, the trades we actually took. So yeah, I wanted to just see what the day's range on this was. Bid and ask. This guy. Contract price bid. Oh, this one right here. Bid ask, change, implied volatility. This whole range of the day. Okay, so the high of the day was all the way up here at 1343, and the low of the day was all the way down here at 9.46. Just doing some math in my head, kind of in my head. Anyway, the gold. We'll start out. I'm going to finish with the gold because the gold is where we have the majority of the trades again today. Okay, so I'll finish with the gold. I'll go to the first. So on the Russell today, our last trade was a stop out, as you can see. And I don't know. That was kind of a tough place to take a trade right there because we had been doing this grind down right here. And I was expecting it to flip to YBR down like all the other indexes did at that point. But the Russell gave one last push up right here. And we took the trade because it gave it to us from right there and it stopped us out. But the way we started out with the Russell, over here, we had a 25 tick trade there. And then we had a 2 tick trade there to get us to 27. And then a 5 tick trade there to get us to 32. And then we stopped out and brought us back down to 17. Okay, we just went sideways from there. So, but we went sideways through here. It doesn't mean there were no trades in here, though. You'd be looking for shorting opportunities. So we didn't get up to this point right here, right? That's the pullback we were looking for right there. We didn't get that, but we did put a new leg that we start with right down here, okay? So once you do that, then you're looking at this right here, okay? So this becomes your midpoint right here. So the down close right here at the midpoint would have been a place for you to trade right there, down to there. And then that becomes this, and this becomes this. So then you didn't get an opportunity after that. You had done 100% retracement right here. That would work out okay after that one. But then after that, this becomes the high, and this becomes the low. All right. So you had a shot right here off the midpoint right there for another trade. And then over to here, and it would have gone like that. So yeah, you really wouldn't have been looking at anything else after this. After this one right here, once you got this trade off of this, once you had this trade right here, it kind of jammed things up. So I wouldn't have been looking in that direction anymore. And then once it flipped sides here, you would have been going from here up to here like this. Right. So this up close right here would have been the spot. You guys see how I'm doing that? And then that goes there. And then you have just this little, the up close right in here would have been the spot to go long. And then it goes up to there from here. Okay. So you wouldn't have had much to work with there. You would have been looking at this right here. Not much to work with. If you did take it when it came out of the oversold right here, right at this point, which is at the midpoint, if you did take it there when it came out of the oversold, you would have had a nice run. And then that puts this is the bottom and this is the top. So you would have had right there, that would have been the stop out right there. It just barely came out of the oversold right there, kind of at the midpoint. If you stretch this out a little bit, it would have been right at the midpoint. That would have been a good trade to take right there. And what I might have done on that, no, I wouldn't have done that. So then it switches directions, right? Do you guys see this? The way I'm doing this? I'm not going to do this for every single one, but I just thought I'd do it on the gold right here. And then it flips down like this, right? You got this high that you're working with because you changed directions. So it's this down close right. Wait a minute. This down close right here would have been the first one. That would have stopped you out. You wouldn't have done that one because the first one didn't go. Then you change directions again. This time it's up to here, like that. From right here, it's up to there. You have nothing in there, and it's just sideways. That is what the gold was like today. The Russell, let's get into that a little bit. Oops, didn't I say I wasn't going to do the gold? Was that the Russell that I just did, or was it the gold that I just did? I think. No, that was the Russell that I just did. It wasn't the gold. All right, that was the Russell that I just did. Thank goodness. All right, so we'll do the ES. We'll do the ES now. On the ES, we only had a few trades, a handful of trades anyway. And I made 2 mistakes today, and both of them ended up being a little bit profitable. One of them was on the ES. Today we took, the first trade we took on the ES was right here. We got 1 tick. And the next trade we took over here, we got 6 more to get us to 7. And then I made a mistake in here. I was only looking at a piece of this, and I thought this was a 50% retracement of that, which it was. But this wasn't a place to take a trade right there. But I took it, and I got 4 ticks profit on that. Got me up to 11. And then this one over here was a valid trade, and I got 8 ticks profit on that. Got me to 19. Then it looks like I had a lot of sideways action in here during the break. Let's crunch it up and we'll look at it. Well, let's not crunch it up too. This is the whole time right here during the break. So when it went up here, right here's a good spot for retracement. It went up here, right here's a good spot for retracement. It went up here. It would have given you the retracement right there. That would have stopped you out. I don't know that I would have done that. Probably I might have. It was just enough. Then it flipped down. So you're going from here down to here. This would have been your spot right there. All right, now that is a spot where you could have been aggressive right in there and got the short from the top of the bar instead of the bottom of the bar. Either way, it looks like it might have gotten you to break even right in there. All right, and then it flipped over again, and when it flipped again, it would have gone from here up to here. From here up to here. So that pullback, I don't think that was enough to really give you anything good. Right there. Yeah, I guess it was exactly enough to give you something good. You could have done the aggressive trade there or the conservative trade there. Either one, you would have gotten profit on. Then you're going from here down to here. That went too far down. So then we're going from here up to here. That would have been a stop out right there. Because you would have gone from right there and it would have stopped you out and then gone down. That was it. I said I was going to do them all like that. But anyway, some pretty good action there during the break. All right. On the NQ, we only had a couple of trades on the NQ today. We're up a total of 8. So we had this one right here. We got 4 ticks on that. And this one right here, we got 4 ticks on that. And that was it. When you can see the NQ in like one screenshot, something is up. Why is the NQ not doing anything? Makes you wonder. During the break, let's see. We're looking for a pullback into here, but we didn't get it. So then you would have this. We've been looking at this as your leg length. This was a 50% retracement of that. You could have shorted from right there for the move down. Then you only had this little bit. You couldn't have done anything with that. You had a better one right here. Didn't have a place to trade that. This was a pretty good spot to trade right here from the pullback there. This was a pretty good spot to trade here from the pullback here. This would, if you took it, would have stopped you out, but I don't think we would have done that. It flipped the YBR down. Now once it flipped the YBR, you would have gone up here. This was a pretty good spot to trade right here. That would have stopped you out. So it just wasn't great trading there on the NQ today. All right, now we get to gold. Gold is where we made the most money today, I think, isn't it? No, I guess we made the most money on the ES. It's 25. It's $250 on gold, and on the ES we made $275 per contract. So the ES was the winner by just a little bit. All right, so on gold, this was the very first trade we took. We picked up 14 ticks on that. Then we didn't trade. Well, we took a break even over here. And the next trade we took was here. Here. We stopped out on that, put us at -1. Then we picked up 10 ticks here to put us at +9. Then we stopped out there, put us at -6. Picked up 1 tick there to get to -5. Then right in here, I think that was one of the ones I made a mistake on. Went from -5 to 0. Got 5 ticks of profit on that. Then went from 5 to 15, then 15 to 25. I'm sorry, went from 0 to 15. And then 15 to 25, and then we had another one here that I didn't add on. I called at the end. There was one there. So we went from 25 to something. And then here, we had a break even. And that is where we ended it for the morning. Gold has actually been one of my better trading markets this month. If you go here and look at the spreadsheet, that was a question that a fellow had asked me in an email. Does this work on the NQ? And yes, it does. But lately, gold has been one of the better trading markets. The NQ is just a little better right now. But gold up until a couple days ago, gold was by far the winner. And last month, we had 9,600 in gold. That beat the NQ and the ES put together. And the month before that, we had 11,400 in gold. That was second best only to the ES. And the month before that was kind of a normal month where the NQ was the most, ES was second, and gold was third. But lately, the gold has been really active. So it's been giving us a lot of opportunity. All right. Now, if you're just coming in on YouTube, you haven't taken a free trial, go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button. There's no credit card required for the trial. Just click that purple button. It's going to bring you to, oops, not that page. It's going to bring you to this page. All right, there'll be a new one of these out tomorrow. But it'll bring you to this page where all they ask for is your name, your email, your phone number. Down here, you can fill all that out, but down at the bottom, you got to make sure you use TradingView login ID. Okay, we just need the ID. We don't need a password or anything like that. Give us that, and we'll get you all set up for the morning session. Okay. All right. So let's get into the actual trades now. See if we can place a couple here. The markets have been really slow. We do have some high impact news coming out tomorrow, I believe, in pre-market. No, that was today. That was today. We have high impact news today. So a new trick I learned. If you go to the econ calendar, that's on our website. You go here to mytradingq.com, click on econ calendar. Click on this little guy right here. It's going to give you just the high impact news. All right. So Monday we have retail sales. That's the next high impact thing. Then Tuesday, building permits, initial jobless. Then nothing on Wednesday. Next Thursday, consumer confidence. Nope, that's not for us. That's Euro. Yeah, we don't have a lot next week either. This is the following Monday. Right. We have a holiday next week, I think. I'm not exactly sure if Juneteenth is still a valid holiday or not. If it is, it's on Thursday. If it's not, well, it's not. I think the market's to be open so we can make some money. But we'll see what happens. All right, on the gold right now. We have it's moved down here. It's moved down, and we need it to move back up. It needs to get up into the overbought. So what you'd be looking at is this from here down. Okay, it's not there yet. It's not going to happen on this bar. You'd have to get a flat spot to get up here and get off of that. On the Russell, it's really junky right here. You see how it went from here to here. So you have this little bit to work with. There's nothing you really want to get mixed up in. On the ES, we have a decent spot from here up to here. I think it's probably already hit though, right? From there up to there. Hit the midpoint here. You're really going to want to have a trade off the midpoint, maybe below the midpoint, because you really don't have anywhere to go right here. It's already found resistance twice. And it's held. All right. So now over here, we just came out of the oversold, went into the overbought. We're above the YBR right now. Just flip the YBR. So we're above the YBR right now. So you need to draw it down. We really don't have anything to work with on the NQ. Nothing at all to work with on the NQ. Not much to work with here either. Gold is the only thing. Gold is the only thing. All right. Does anybody have any questions? I don't see any questions. We have 12 minutes. 12 minutes. All right. So you all understand why I'm drawing these things. It's to help you see the better trade opportunities, places that they should bounce off of that aren't clearly defined in any other way. Right? When you have, what was that word? Confluence. Confluence of things happening all at once. So, it used to be years and years ago when that word confluence was a thing. Some software that Dwayne and I bought almost 20 years ago. It used to be you'd have an area. If you had a confluence between a whole bunch of different time frames, you'd have an area that you could work with. Like between like 408 and 410, you'd have an area you could work with. But we've got to narrow it down to a specific number. So if you have a confluence of things that happen at the same place, then you have a specific number where you can place a trade. And that's what we're waiting for now. An opportunity like that. And we may get it, we may not. I don't know. We'll see. So this yesterday afternoon, I had suggested, I drew this yesterday afternoon when this is where the market was, right here. Right there. I drew all that stuff in there yesterday, saying I expect price is going to get up to here tomorrow. And in the morning, it's going to go up, it's going to come back down and go back up, and it's going to get up to here tomorrow. That's what I said yesterday. And look at where it is. It got up to there. It's good stuff. Good stuff. All right. So we are waiting now. Waiting. Well, it's 1:22. We have about 7.5 minutes left. I don't know if we're going to get another trade or not. It could be something here on the gold, right? The numbers change now. No, it hasn't really. The number's still in the same place. It hasn't made it back up to the overbought yet. So the number's still in the same place. This isn't going to be anything you want to do right here. Okay. When are those white bars in the slingshot going public? They're already there. You're talking about TV trades again, but they're already there. You just got to turn them on. They're not turned on this thing right here. But if you mean these things that correspond, the ones that correspond with this, they're already there. You just got to turn them on. In here, I think you got to turn something off. If I turn that off, and come here and turn this on, the bar color, and turn off the other bar color like that. There you go. They're already on. So you just got to turn that off in here, Bart. Turn the other one off. And those will come on for you. Okay. They're being overwritten by something else. That was inside the trigger. You have to turn it off. Inside here. Turn off these guys right here. So we are finally in the overbought here, but it's not anywhere near where it needs to pull back. All right, now I would say that that's generally a good thing because it's going to give us an opportunity, a new leg length to work with, but this leg length is so small. It's not really a good opportunity either. Over here on the ES, if you get the down close on this bar, it'd be at a place where you could aggressively go long, right? Because it's going to be right at the midpoint and you're in the oversold. So if I had my DOM open, I could have aggressively gone long right there, and it might be too late to go. 325 up to, yeah, it's too late. You could have gone aggressively long at the open of that bar right there. If I had my DOM open, I could have done that, and we'd be in profit right now. But you see what I mean? When it closed, you get a down close right here at the midpoint when it goes into the oversold. That's good. That's the perfect space to go aggressive. Better than what? They make it easy to see what's going on down here. Okay, but again, they happen after the bar closes. So you got to have an idea of what's going on anyway. But they happen after the bar closes to give you confidence that you're doing the right thing. So right here, this is really messy the way this came together. You would draw the trend, draw the retracement lines like that. Okay, so you'd be looking for it to go into the oversold and be at the midpoint at the same time. Obviously, you can see that did not happen, so you're not going to have a trade there. I'll just remove that. Right here was the only thing you could have done. You could have done the aggressive trade at the open of this black bar that you see right here. You could have done the aggressive trade at the open of that bar. That was the only thing you could have done. In here, it's really messy. You don't really want to do anything there. Okay, over here. Now, because we went from here to here, this would start over again from here to here. We can see it made it up to the midpoint of the prior leg up here. You're not getting easy and obvious trades. Like I say, you could take that if you wanted to, but that's just ridiculous. You don't take things, if everything else fails, take this. That's not what you do when you're trading. Take the things that you want to take that meet the requirements, or don't take anything at all. Okay, and right now, there's nothing at all that meets the requirements. I'll just delete that because I don't want to distract you. This right here already happened. Okay. Now, because it already happened, well, now it's pulling back deeper. It could flip to YBR right here, and then that change things around to be going from the top down. Okay, that could possibly happen right now. This is at 100% retracement right here. You could go long on an up close from here. It's not the greatest trade. Again, I'm saying, no, it's not the greatest trade. Why do it at all? It's times like these, you just put the mouse away. Just put the mouse down and walk away. All right, guys. Well, I guess I'll wrap it up here. It's 30 seconds early, but we're not going to have anything else right now. So if you have not taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button. There's no credit card required for the trial. Click on that purple button. When you do, you will be brought to this registration page. On this page, all we ask for is your name, your email, your phone number. Down here at the bottom, if you don't have TradingView yet, click on that link, get TradingView. All right, when you get it, give us your TradingView login ID, hit the register button. We'll send you all the stuff you need to get your indicators indicating, and to get your indicators indicating, and to get you into the room in the morning session. Okay, everything you need to do all those things, and that is it, guys. With that, I can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. If Dwayne is ready.
Is, as they say in the vernacular, ready.
Ready. Excellent.
So, let me ask you the big question.
Yes.
Recap of the morning session.
Today, it took 1 minute and one trade to get to $1,400.
It's about as sweet as it gets. Congratulations. Good job.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys, we're going to pick up where we left off. Now, we already did the ES in detail. We already did the Dow in detail. We did the Russell in detail. And we're here at the NQ, where we opened last night, filled the window, hit the short target, traded a little bit lower. And as you can see, we would be expecting support here, but buyers came in a little early here, pushed us up into the BBC resistance. The pullback holds more often than not. Resistance sends the market to support at the weekly trading zone, which sends price back to resistance at the BBC, which sends price back to support at the weekly trading zone. Support then sends the market or price looking for resistance, which in this case it found where? At the weekly trading zone. And look at how long it's been trying to break through, and it's still trying to break through. And it may, but look over here. You had a bearish cross that just naturally happened right at the weekly zone, because these zones were published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published, they're carved in stone. And when you have a bearish cross, that leads to an extended move. The first time price revisits that area will almost always be good resistance. So here you had resistance times 2, the zone and the previous bearish cross. Now it looks like we finally might break through, but in order to consider it broken through, well, then you gotta get above this high right here. Should that happen, you come over here and you do this. Okay, now that would give you an entry around 21,988 up to 2212. That'd be 24 points. 22,012. That'd be 24 points, $20 a point, $480 per contract traded, and that is a very conservative trade. But remember, price, see the step lines crossed, but it's still trying to go higher. So there's a good chance we come back down to the BBC. Then it becomes a question of, does this pullback hold or not? The first pullback after the bullish cross usually holds. So then you would have an opportunity to trade back up to the zone. But if we break this high, then this cherry is waiting for you right here. Now let's say that pullback doesn't hold. You got to get below this bullish cross, and I would take it all the way down here because I like to be very conservative. You'd be getting in at roughly 21,760, 760 down to 730. That's 30 points, $20 a point, $600 per contract traded. So no matter which way the market goes, up or down, you've already got your work planned. And as price approaches your window, that's when you focus on your range chart that you use for whatever particular market, so that you can execute your entry with surgical precision. It's possible you'll get to the window and you won't have a setup. In that case, that window is probably going to fail to fill. But maybe a few minutes later, you do have the perfect setup, and then it fills. Giving you my best advice for free on public radio. All right, let's go to crude. Now, I told you crude had a wild ride. This is where we closed yesterday. So this is why we were off a couple pennies when I gave you the numbers from around the world. Okay, we had a gap higher open, hit the highest weekly trading zone for the week on the open. It gapped all the way up to the zone, went a little higher, got a green candle up to here. But by the time the 30-minute candle closed, look where the market found support. At the top side of the long target. Support sent us to resistance at the zone. Resistance at the zone sent us all the way back to the BBC. The pullback held for a while, and then it gave way and took us down to this point right here, which honestly is not a point I would have selected. You see right here where the step line crossed back to the left side of blue and climbing? I'd have been looking for support right there. Okay, so now getting out of a profitable trade a little early, well, you won't go broke doing that. Support, you got to trade what's in front of you. So if there's obviously support buying, watch for red and falling to turn to blue and climbing. And with this much blue and climbing chasing price, the chance of you trading through the BBC is often quite good. So now we've made it back up to this area, which is basically this high from yesterday. And look at the step line, it's starting to cross blue and climbing. So what do I expect right now? Pull back to the BBC. If the pullback holds, fine, you'll be looking for longs. If the pullback trades through the BBC, be very aware of this bullish cross, because the first time down, that's probably going to be good support. If the market trades through the BBC, I'd look for my window right there. What are we talking? 67.30 to 67.15. $150 per contract traded. Now, what if price is able to turn itself around and go higher? Do I anticipate that? No. But you got to embrace all possibilities. So why not plan your work? Okay. I just want to catch that wick right up there of that candle. I'd give you an entry around 68.55 up to 68.70. That would be another $150 per contract traded. Is it starting to make sense? God, I hope so. Because if you can get this, man, you can rule the world. Well, God rules the world, but you can do well. Okay? All right. Now remember, we trade every market exactly the same. From support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance. So gold opens last night right here. It opens at 33.77.5. So let's call it 78. 78 up to the target at 82. That's $400 per contract traded. But it did keep going, and then when it pulled back, look where it found support. On top of the long target. Not once, but twice. Then as blue and climbing gets directly above price, because it's probably on its way to becoming red and falling, look what happens. See, all that red and falling took price through the BBC. Pullback holds more often than not, but when you got this much red and falling or a whole lot of blue and climbing, it may not. Okay, so we trade through the BBC. We spike the zone right down to where? Now look at that wick and look at this bullish cross from yesterday. Is that to the tick? Well, certainly close enough to call it to the tick for me. So if you were in this short trade coming down, you should be expecting support right there, right where the bullish cross took place. Okay, and that support sent the market all the way back up through the BBC, all the way back up to the zone, or to the zone for the first time, 34.18/19, which is not the highest weekly trading zone. So resistance sends us back to support at the BBC, pullback held, but then when price hit right here, resistance, price is now pulled back to the BBC. Will it hold? Well, you got red and falling overhead, so if we consolidate sideways a little bit and you get more red and falling, that increases the likelihood of the price trading through the BBC. Just be aware you got a bullish cross right here that will potentially be good support. Okay, so now a caveat would be this low right here. It's kind of in the middle of the area where you want to trade. So yeah, I'm gonna let you figure that one out yourself. Okay, now if the pullback holds, that's easy or simple. Trading's never easy, but it can be simple. Oh, it doesn't want to give me a Okay, that's fine. I was just trying to put the top of the window. Well, you know what? Number one, the bottom of this window has got to come up above those highs. So we're just talking a small trade. You know what? 34.17 really conservative. I mean, you could go 34.16. Nothing wrong with that. 34.16 to the zone at 34.18. It's $200 per contract traded. And because you got this low hanging here as potential support, just above the bullish cross. And then you got this little crevice here, potential support. If you want to be conservative, come down here and just grab a $1 move. Maybe that's more than $1. 33.75 to 33.73, $200 per contract traded. Now remember, as price is approaching the window, make sure you're looking at your range chart that you use for that particular market and execute exactly the way Michael teaches you in the room in the morning, but with the benefit and satisfaction in the back of your mind, knowing that in the larger time frame, in the bigger picture, you've already defined that as a window of opportunity. Those are the trades where you'll typically get better follow through. Okay. All right. Got one more market, silver. Here's where we opened last night. Ran into the zone. Now, when price runs into a weekly zone, only one of three things happens. 70% of the times, consolidation. 20% of the times, a rejection. 10% of the times, the slice. That's when a 30-minute candle slices through a zone like it's not even there. When that happens and the slice runs out of steam, it will typically retrace back to the zone it sliced through and continue in the direction of the slice. It's a great example. Except we did the pullback, it missed it just a little bit. But remember, with silver, you only need 2 pennies to get your goal for the day. So, no thank you, scam likely. Okay, let's take a peek over here. Is there anything? Well, these 2 candles that pulled back, this is Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, Friday, last Thursday. You had to pull back to the BBC, and the bottom of the bodies of those candles, bang, right there. So support sends the market looking for resistance, which it found at the zone, sent us back to the BBC, which sent us back to the zone. Now we're in a difficult spot. We're sitting on top of the BBC support, but overhead we got red and falling. Now, price can trade through red and falling. If it does, just trade 36.42 up to 30 or 36.41 up to 36.43. Now the zone's 44.45, but again, I try to be conservative. Over here, if price were to just come down, you got a lot of potential support. Those lows, that low. But if you get down to here, roughly, now the zone's 20/21, I'd probably leave that alone. I would wait and see if price could trade through the short target, and then this would be a beauty down here. Not suggesting price is going to drop this far, but if it does, that's something that I would be very interested in. Top of the window, 35.94. down to 35.89. It's $250 per contract traded. Now, I already told you what to do if price busts a move, and that's take that little window up there. Now remember, you just need 2 cents, 2 pennies to get your goal for the day. Now, if price breaks above the zone, you got resistance potentially here, here, here. I would let price get above the long target. And I would trade this. Well, what if neither one of those happens? Okay, how much did that cost you? To read the chart and determine where there's opportunity, right? The longer this consolidates, red and falling is going to drop below the VVC, and then you're almost certain price is going to take a drop to the zone, maybe to the target, and just maybe to the window. Okay, and if the market just totally fell apart, this would be a money maker. Selling 35.75 down to 35.60. That would be 15 pennies. That'd be $750 per contract traded. If you've earned the right to trade 10 contracts, it's $7,500. Silver is not a great market for beginners. So cut your teeth on something like what you see in the live training room. Okay? Because Michael's teaching you specifically how to handle those markets. Now, he trades each market exactly the same. He just uses different size range charts for the different markets. Because the NQ is so volatile, he uses a really big one, like a 47 range. The ES, I think he uses a 7 range. I think on the Russell a 9 range, and on gold a 9 range. Okay, but you might find a size of range chart that works better for you. On the ES, I personally like the 19 range. Keep in mind, that 47 range on the NQ generates a lot of trades. But if you go with like a 19 range on the ES, it's going to generate fewer trades, but with greater certainty. So use what Michael teaches you, and then over time, once you get the hang of things, you'll figure out what works best for you. Now, for those of you who came late, that's okay. My feelings aren't hurt as much as they were yesterday. I'm getting stronger. I'm just teasing. But we covered the ES in depth. I explained every move. The Dow, I explained every move. And look, we finally broke above that bullish cross. Still haven't closed above it. This could be the candle. And if it is, if we actually close above the bullish cross, you only need 20 points to get your goal for the day. 995. That would be 25 points. You only need 20 points to get your goal for the day. And you see where I'm keying off of? This candle right here from yesterday. That's market structure. It's not some arcane secret. There's no crystal balls involved. No chanting. We don't have to light any candles. Get the idea? Yeah. Okay. So we covered that in detail already. We covered the Russell already in detail. And so as soon as this broadcast ends, give it about 30 minutes to an hour, and you can go to youtube.com/CFRN and watch this entire broadcast in its entirety, the whole 2 hours. From the open to the daily devotional to the news, to the explanation of what price is done today across all the different markets and how our alerts have played into them. And remember, these weekly trading zones that you see doing such a fine job today of providing support and resistance, they were published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. They never change. And on the daily, price is still struggling right here at the step line and balloon climbing. Okay, we got below it. Now we're trying to get above it. Let's see how bullish the ES looks. We spiked it right here. Okay, I see this first resistance right here came in right at the bearish cross. Okay, so we've tried a number of times. Now the step line is crossed. So I got a feeling you may end up with a wick here. There's 7 minutes left in the life of this candle. Could continue consolidating. Remember, that's what happens 70% of the time. 20% of the time rejection. 10% of the time the slice. See here how we sliced through and then retraced back to the zone we sliced through and continued in the direction of the slice to fill the window I drew yesterday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Anyway. All right. So, based on what we just saw, the ES may have trouble. Maybe we catch a late afternoon rally. Maybe Trump puts out a bullish post. But our major resistance right now, big picture, is 60.74.75. You should write that down, 60.74.75. If we overcome that, then 6,100, previous bearish cross. Now I'm just trying to be real conservative by calling it 6,100. It's really like 6,106, but all right. So I know you're excited after seeing all that. To become a member, go to mytradingiq.com. Watch the videos, read the content, and when you're ready, send an email to support@cfrn.net and just say I want to become a member. Valerie will send you an email chock full of information about what it means to become a passport holder. She'll even provide a link so you can click it and seal the deal. The very first thing she's going to tell you about is 2 hours of live interactive training every trading day. Real trades with real money and live markets. And as Michael is putting on and taking off trades, he's explaining every move he makes, every trade he takes, and the reason behind it. And when a trade gets stopped out, he doesn't sweep it under the carpet. No. He wants you to understand, I want you to understand that getting stopped out is a part of life as a trader. Every professional trader who's consistently profitable wastes no time and no treasure getting sick over being stopped out. They just know that's part of the deal. Okay? If you're sitting and working in a widget factory and your job is to sit there every day and build these widgets, every now and then you're going to screw one up. So over your right shoulder there's a trash can, and so when you screw one up, you just toss it over your right shoulder in the trash can and you start making another one. Same with trading. In 2006, I became a futures trader in 2005. Previous to that, I was doing stocks. Not technically, but the whisper trades. I'd get phone calls from these disembodied voices telling me what a great buy some company was, because they were about to release some huge clinical trial or some big discovery of gold, whatever. So I consistently lost money for 5 years doing that. And then somebody entered my life and introduced me to futures and the concept of technical trading. Well, history was made. It really was. But in 2006, Futures Magazine published an article, 9 out of 10 new traders fail. They gave all the statistics, but they never said why. Well, I was quite curious, since I had now switched my stock accounts over to futures accounts, and if 9 out of 10 fail, what chance do I possibly have of being the one that makes the cut? So I wanted to know why. Why do 9 out of 10 wash out? It didn't take me long to figure out. They had no one to teach them how to trade. Oh, there were plenty of rooms and gurus and garbage, okay? But nobody was learning how to trade. I even put out a bounty on the internet, on my platform, CFRN. I offered a very large sum of money for somebody to come and let me sharpen their pencils, make their coffee, and watch over their shoulder. Not one person accepted my offer. Not one. So right there I knew, here's the problem. The people that know how to trade don't want to teach the people who don't know how to trade their secrets. Because in so many traders' minds, trading is a zero-sum game. That is a load of hockey, okay? Now you might be thinking, well, it is. In order for you to make money, somebody else has got to lose money. Really? Think about this. Let's say, I'll give you an example here. Let's say I buy the S&P at 60.53. Now to take profit at 60.58, what do I have to do? I have to sell my long position. Now, in order to sell my long position, there's got to be a buyer out there who thinks 60.58 is a great entry position. And that's the beautiful thing about the ES. There's always someone on the other side to take your trade. I've been stuck in stocks for days, weeks, months, when I couldn't find anybody to take the other side of my trade so I could get out. Well, that's not a problem with futures, especially with the ES, which trades, between 1 million to 1 million a day. What do we got for daily volume today? Today, we got a light day, 346,000. Wow, we've had a few light days. When's the last time we broke 1 million? All right, we did 1.5 million on May 30th. We did 1.5 million on June 5th. Yesterday we did 1.5 million. So you can barely see today's volume candle. Now, what does that tell us? It tells me the market's getting ready to turn down. That's what it tells me. Okay? So back to my story. I buy at 53 and sell to some guy at 58 because he thinks, for whatever reason, that's a great place to get in. But let's say he wants to get out at 65. Now, I made money. He made money. And some guy thinks 65 is a great place to get long. So the second guy sells, takes his profits. The third guy buys and rides it all the way up to 60.79. The third guy in line, I made money, the second guy made money, the third guy made money, and the fourth guy may make money, and the fifth guy may make money. And then, yeah, eventually somebody's going to get stopped out and lose money. Well, that's how the markets work. But to call it a zero-sum game is, I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings, but let me put it this way. You haven't really thought it through, or you're just parroting what you've heard other people tell you, and that's a dangerous thing. And I've always said from day one, anything I tell you, don't believe it just because you think I'm a nice guy or maybe even a smart guy, or, oh, he's a Christian, so I should just believe him blindly. No, 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 no. Anything I tell you, put it to the test. Make it prove itself. Because in doing so, it will become your truth. Okay? And it's only really going to serve you well once it becomes your truth. Trading off my truth will get you along for a while, but unless it becomes your truth. So okay, we got that zero-sum game out of the business. Great. Moving on. 2 hours of live interactive training every trading day. And on top of that, private one-on-one mentoring. The strategy you learn, the indicators you own as a passport holder are fluid across all markets and all time frames. Stocks, futures, crypto, Forex, ETFs, it does not matter. Price flows the same across all markets and all time frames. From support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over, again and again. It's a never-ending cycle. It's simply how markets work. As a passport holder, you'll get the Logic 247 alerts around the clock. You get the concierge trade alerts the second they're published every evening. Monday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern, you'll get the weekly trading zones. And on Thursday afternoons, you'll get an invitation to attend the members only workshop tonight, Thursday night, at 8 p.m. Eastern. That's where everybody lets down their guard and talks about whatever issues they're dealing with. It can be personal, it can be technical, it can be, they got some hang up with an indicator, or they can't get their DOM configured right, whatever. It's whatever you need, we're there to serve for 2 hours. We're usually done in an hour, but some nights it takes the full 2 hours. It depends on if you come and bring good questions. Some nights, nobody has any questions. Everybody's doing good. Everybody's making money. Everybody's getting their goal. So we end up closing shop early. Now, the final thing you get as a passport holder is the golden key that opens all the private channels in Telegram. You see, we have public channels, we have private channels, but once you become a passport holder, you got access to everything. One of the channels is actually the members only workshop channel. There's hundreds of weekly workshops. Now, do you need to watch them all? No. But you can scroll through and look at the caption underneath each video. And if there's something there that piques your interest, you can watch it. But you don't have to. And also for people who are on the trial, if you don't get Telegram installed, then you can't access the discussion group that we have set up for you, or the Logic channel we have set up for you, or the CTA report we have set up for you. Telegram is free, it's fast, it's secure. Day one of your trial, that should be the first thing you do. Get Telegram on your phone, get Telegram on your computer. It's the heartbeat of our community. And while you're on the trial, you'll be able to talk to our traders. People who, maybe like you, blew up account after account, fell for false promises after false promises, Oh, we don't make any promises. We're going to teach you everything we know and give you the tools to do the job. What you do with that, it's going to be up to you. But if you struggle, we'll give you private mentoring. You got the workshop every week, and you can always reach us on Telegram. Okay? So when Valerie sends you that welcome email to the trial, or as a member, get on it right away, install Telegram, and Valerie will send you the list of all the channels you have access to. All you got to do is click that link one time, and now boom, you're a member of that channel. Okay? It's really important. Honestly, guys, it's everything a trader needs, all under one roof, one low price. And I'll be honest with you, had there been such a thing as this back in 2005 and 6 and 7 when I was really struggling and pulling my hair out, if there had been such a place as this, I probably wouldn't be having this conversation with you today. I'd be off sailing on my yacht somewhere, or sailboat, or something. But you see, God has a plan. Just as Jesus had to go to the cross to save all of us from our sins, past, present, and future, I had to go through hell, financial hell, to get to the other side. Now, I told you before, I'll tell you again. I don't care how many times a week you go to church, how much of a percentage in your earnings you pay in tithes, how much service work you do. God is never going to move the market for you. If you get in a bad trade, get out. Let it hit your stop. Okay? There's lots of Christian traders. Right now, some of them are long the ES and some of them are short the ES. Now, how in the world is God going to sort amongst all those people and decide who to show favor to? You can't ask that of God. I did, though, for years, and cried real tears because he wouldn't. But one day the Holy Spirit spoke to me and said, "You're approaching this thing the wrong way." I'm like, "Okay, Holy Spirit, what should I do?" He said, "You need to learn. You're in there trading 20 contracts and you don't even have a clue what you're doing. If you'll go back to demo and find a set of rules and stick to those rules and let God open your eyes and show you things, he will teach you. He'll help you learn, and he'll put the right people in your path to teach you. But what he'll never do is get you out of a bad trade. And if there ever happens to be a time when you're down on your knees crying out to God and the market does actually turn around and you get out by the skin of your teeth, that wasn't God. That was just the market. So, all right, enough preaching. Oh, wait, I'm not done yet. For the last 2 days, our good word for the day has been about getting alone with God. No distractions, no people, no podcasts, no phones ringing, no pop-ups on your phone giving you that rush of serotonin or whatever it is. When somebody likes your post, you know you get a little shiver running down your leg, right? That's a topic for another day. But this is part 3 of getting alone with God. Ecclesiastes 5:4. When you make a vow to God, do not delay to fulfill it. When the pressures in your life begin to mount, the first thing you'll be tempted to drop is your time alone with God, praying and reading his word. and listening to him. At the beginning of the broadcast, we talked about it. God listens when you talk to him. And what's more, Satan knows if he can keep you from it, he has won the battle. And he will get no opposition from you. So how can you overcome this problem? See, the enemy, for some of us, he does one thing. We lose our faith in God, and then he can move on. Because now we're like on autopilot to self-destruct. He'll move on down to the next house on your street and start messing with that guy, see if he can throw him off track. Don't. When the devil comes knocking at your door, do not invite him in for tea. Don't sit down to discuss things with the enemy. Slam the door in his face and go pray to the one true God. Never entertain the enemy. Okay? All right. Now, how can you overcome this problem? Number one, by making a covenant with God. Think about it. Why do we make marriage vows? So we will think twice about breaking them. It's the same in your devotional life. When you make a vow to God, do not delay to fulfill it. Now I'm going to tell you something, and it's going to probably freak some of you out. I had a problem as a younger man. And after promising God and my wife I was never going to do it again, I realized it was beyond my own power to stop. And many years later, I still have this piece of paper. I sat down and I wrote a letter to God. I said, God, I want to honor you. I want to do what you've called me to do. And so today I make a vow, just like we make a vow when we get married. I vow to never put anything up my nose again. Ever. Not nothing. Not no way. Not no how. With love, your other son, Dwayne. And guess what? Been a lot of years. Only thing that's been up my nose is a Kleenex. So, there you go. Another page ripped from the life of Dwayne. Number two, by scheduling it. Remember, we're trying to figure out how to get alone with God? Schedule it. Block out time to meet with God each day, just like you would a doctor's appointment or a business meeting. I mean, surely there's no more important appointment, right? My favorite time is right before the sun comes up. My wife gets up at 5. That's just her nature. I ease out of the bed at 4. That means for 1 hour, I've got the whole house to myself. There's peace and quiet and coffee and God. God first, right? You with me? I got a whole hour to just let him speak to me. I mean, I say good morning. What can I do for you today, God? And then I just sit there and I sip my coffee and I listen, not with my human ears, but my spiritual ears. I let him speak to my heart. And then when he speaks to me, I write it on the tablet of my heart. And I'm not doing anything you can't do. But maybe 4 a.m. doesn't work for you. Maybe for you it's 9 p.m. at night. Whatever. Make an appointment and keep it. Number 3, by being prepared for the devil's excuses. Adopt the Boy Scout motto. Be prepared. American preacher Dr. Robert G. Lee used to say, If you wake up in the morning and don't meet the devil face on, it means you're headed in the same direction. Number 4. By leaving your Bible open the night before to the verses you intend to read the next morning. Now, I cheat. I like the Daily Audio Bible. And my eyes aren't quite as strong as they once were. I know that's kind of a cop-out, but anyway. Doesn't mean I don't read Scripture. I do. But I really love the Daily Audio Bible. And I posted today's episode in the Breeze channel. Each day you get a little Old Testament, a little New Testament, some Psalms, and some Proverbs. And in 1 year, you complete the entire Bible, cover to cover. And Daily Audio Bible is celebrating their 20th year anniversary. And I've been with them since the beginning. Brian is a great guy. He's the one who does the reading. Got a very unique voice, and after he's done reading, he talks to us. Anyway, you're going to have to download it in your favorite app store. Try it for a week. So, if you leave the Bible open next to your bed, when you wake up, it will remind you that the most important thing you have to do today is to meet with God. What if you miss a day? Don't worry, and don't go on a guilt trip. If you miss a meal, you don't give up eating, do you? Just means you eat a little more at the next one and move on from there. So there you go. 3 days we've spent on this very important topic. How to get alone with God. And that's our good word for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.